Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here, Angelus, son of Abaddon. And today I'd like to discuss celebrations, holidays, and study. Hey, Tina, what's going on? How's your day going? Starting my day with a good shower and now a good cup of joe from my place of employment. Do recommend it. It's a good way to get the body going. But anyways, I found myself a lot over the last month since working with Leviathan over February. Oh, cool. Bigger place or little or smaller? Perhaps your own house instead of an apartment. Me, I still live in an apartment, but the goal is for me and my family to move into a house. We just got to get out from underneath all the debt that's been collected over the last couple of years before we can do anything. I have no idea how to get her stuff off my computer. Keeps popping up here. But anyways, I've been doing a lot of studying since I got involved with Leviathan, the prince of the sin known as envy and ruler of February. The seven princes of sin have really played an integral part in my life over the last 6 months. And here I am working with the last one. And I've given my word that I won't speak on him for this month because of the fact that I have a feeling that he's going to be bringing, or at least doing something enlightening and challenging within my life. So I want that to be personal between me and him. So, but I've been doing a lot. I found myself doing a lot of intense research and study over the last few months in general. I've been doing a lot of reading, just kind of just cutting back from being on social media, posting like I used to do on Facebook. And that's pretty cool. There's a lot of space for rituals, I guarantee that. But anyways, yeah, so I've been doing a lot of research and I've been really hitting my altar room and doing a lot of rituals, aligning myself with the currents. And this is something that has come up time and time again, not only through conversations within Facebook groups or here on social media, outlets like YouTube. And questions have been brought up about, damn, 42 acres? That makes my mother's land look like freaking child's play, or even where I am. I'll have to talk to my landlord and say you're amateurs. But anyways, so yeah, a lot of this has come up, a lot of questions and debates of whose system is right. Now, there are days, according to Anne Mora in Green Witchcraft, that have holidays and ceremonies. Okay, days throughout, sometimes numerous days throughout the month that are put aside to celebrate the gods and goddesses throughout the year. I think she has roughly about two, maybe 2.5 pages, just on holidays themselves throughout the entire year. The days and what they are, from the harvest to actual days of the of to celebrate the goddess or god in general. And that's just in green witchcraft. If you go into, say for an example, Scott Cunningham, who was a herbalist, his book on the Book of Shadows, which is a green book, he places emphasis more on the equinoxes and Sabbats, much like the mainstream Wicca and pagan communities. But they also celebrated and do celebrate, I should say, one's own birthday, Christmas, and like Yule and stuff like that. But also Thanksgiving, because they are of the world. Okay. So these holidays, you see them in various different degrees and various different purposes throughout different cultures and different religious and philosophical path workings and root workings. And early this morning, I was still up around 3, 4 o'clock this morning, and hey, Ballborn, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. I was still up and I was communing with people and on Messenger, but I was also watching videos by my brother, um, John Saunders. He's a great brother. I love his videos and his work, and he does speak truth. By the way, I mean, I really do. I really do like that about him. He's actually an honest guy, and when he says he doesn't give two shits what you think, he's not joking about that. He will tell you exactly what he thinks. And that's something I love and respect about him. But he was talking about certain things in one video where a lot of people will shun individuals who actually know what they're doing and talking about. And I got to thinking about LaVeyan Satanism, and this was actually one topic that he brought up. Today he doesn't. Nobody views the COS as being satanic. Not today. They're more of a joke, much like the TST. The temple, the Satanic Temple. They're more political, and I do concur with John on this. I have to. I mean, I went to them asking for their power within the court systems because of what my family was going through just a couple of years ago, for like a year and a half after my son was born, and they did nothing but simply state, "Well, your goals and ours don't align. Goodbye." Flat out just shunned, and you're supposed to be about satanic unity. You know what I'm saying? And this is just political bullshit about not wanting to get your hands dirty unless it's something that you are trying to do. Okay. So when John was speaking about people going to all these fakes, these con artists who were basically just conning people out of money and doing like a 10-minute video, he wasn't kidding about that. I mean, but back in Anton Zandalave's day, it was actual devil worship. They held true to the holidays and like Saint Walpurgis, All Hallows Eve, the Devil's Night, your own personal birthday. okay? And he wasn't afraid to tell people this. I mean, even in his own interview with Bob Larson, the exorcist, okay? And a young Larson here is what I'm saying. And this was like 40 years ago, okay? 40 years ago. You know, Bob Larson literally showed him respect. Okay, I'm talking actual, genuine respect, just simply asking questions and listening to Anton's reply about what his beliefs were, what the Church of Satan was about at that time. It was that genuine respect. Okay. But then we see back in, I think it was the early 90s, late 80s area, when his daughter Xena and her husband Nicholas Shrek, okay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name right, but I may have just butchered it severely. And if I did, I do apologize. But it was, and the funny thing is that here we see a whole new Bob Larson, okay? He would ask a question to the first daughter. He would bring up a question not only to her but to her husband, but yet show respect, zero respect. He wouldn't even allow them to answer his questions. It was more of that Catholic bullying of Catholicism. Without it was the complete limiting of their religious rights and belief structures, which are protected by the United States Constitution and upheld by not only the Department of Justice but also the American Civil Liberties Union. So we saw the shift from there to this, but lately I got onto YouTube and I had to laugh, and it was like how the mighty has fallen. You know what I'm saying? The prices, he's now putting a price on religion, about religious beliefs. And what's ironic is that shift that is now on his head, on Bob Larson's head. The mistake he made was going on to Dr. Phil's show. Dr. Phil literally anally invaded Bob Larson and his belief into exorcism within the formulation of a young couple. One was a believer, and the other was simply going along with the exorcism because of the fact that she was wanted to make her boyfriend or husband happy. Okay, so this is a belief structure within the JCI, and I saw this personally when I was studying to become a ordained minister. You know, back years ago, almost 10 years ago, I spent like 3 years studying intensively to become an ordained minister in this, in the religious and philosophical world. Okay. And I studied underneath three different ministers: a Baptist, a Pentecostal, and an apostolic. Yeah, that was a hoot and a half. And I'm glad that's a whole nother lifetime. But still, the shit that I saw just underneath those three ministers and the way that their churches did things wasn't right. I'm talking taking a belt to a child. I'm talking shunning people because you don't want to deal with them, and yet you're preaching never turn away little children, meaning your flock. Oh, yeah, there was a lot of shit that I witnessed. just in the 10 years that I was studying, the 6 years that I studied underneath Christian ministers to become an ordained minister. Yeah, there's a lot of it. But to see Dr. Phil put a pom-pom meltdown, smackdown on Bob Larson, that was the highlight of my evening. Literally, the highlight of my evening. So, and it's like, yep, that that switch just flipped on your ass. That's all I gotta say. Loved every minute of it, by the way. Awesome job, Dr. Phil. Um, but anyways, he was right about there's like 600 some odd medical diagnoses that could fit her personality. Okay, and I personally witnessed, you know, through a couple that I lived with when I was living in Texas. Okay, who had a lot of belief structures, had a lot of they did a lot of studying, but they were schizophrenics. Okay, and they literally were storytellers, much like the gypsies, and they played off each other. It didn't matter if it was delusions of grandeur. Like you could witness somebody walking down the street and nothing happens to them. Okay, literally nothing. And then walk into the house and all of a sudden make up this story. Did you see that car? Jumped over that line and almost hit me on the sidewalk. When you got a line about like this, and then you got an embankment and then the sidewalk. Number one, there was no cars except for the parked ones. Just saying. Okay. And you got to call them out on their bullshit, right? So I got to thinking about this early this morning and I decided to do a video on this because of the fact that there is a lot of beliefs within philosophical structures of days and beliefs that are mandated to be followed, like holidays. Okay. Now, Reverend Cain, I'm not sure exactly what I know he's a theistic Satanist. I know he's either theistic or spiritual. I consider those two to be one and the same. Okay. And some of what he posts in this Bible, the unholy Bible, align perfectly with Anton Zandalave's Satanic Bible. Okay. And John was right. A lot of Satanists who get into Satanism, the first Bible they go to is the Satanic Bible by Anton Zandalave, which is ironic because in the early days, they were devil worshippers. You go to the Enochian Keys, the very last line in it is, "Be friendly unto me, for we are the true worshippers of the highest and infallible King of hell." Okay? Just saying and putting that out there. All right? But starting on page 113 in the Unholy Bible, and I'm going to go to this. But before I go to it, you have the Wine Ball Day, St. Walball Ball Day, Satanic Revels, Candlemas, Saint Echet Ad Day. I'm butchering that name, and I know it. Good Friday, Ball's Harvest, Walpurgisnacht, Demon Revels, Halloween, Magical Events, Occult Arts. Okay, and those are just the holidays. Okay, so I'm going to go to page one. What was that? 119? No, 113. Sorry. Okay, I'm just going to go up here to 113. Okay, the is the fifth chapter called Celebrations. Okay, there exists a veil over the world, separating the mortal coil from the realm of the spirit. Okay, in certain locations, this veil is frail or entirely non existent. You look at the Day of the Dead, Okay, it is believed that the veil is so thin that the spirits of the disincarnate can come forth and revisit the plane of the dead. Okay, this is why in certain Mexican or Cuban practices, they would go to the grave and they would have hold a celebration and they would bring food for the dead. Even in necromancy or paganism, it is always, even in voodooism, it is always good to give an offering, um, even to give some kind of, not just an offering, but a gift unto the spirits, to the demons, to the angels, the Ugan. It doesn't matter what system you're into. It's always a good thing to do. It doesn't matter if it's your own blood or you're bringing fruits and vegetables to the Loa. Okay, it is always good to give back to them for what they do for you. Okay. Now, these are celebrated as days of power for witches, occultists, demonologists, and Satanists. Through these celebrations are not universal in their meaning and or significance. Okay. The witch may find more value in a celebration than a Satanist, which is true. I can actually attest to that. Okay. And I'll explain that in just a minute. Or they may even disagree on what the importance of the day is. The demonologist may not care at all, while the psychic finds it to be the most important celebration of the year. These differences are expected as the left hand path is entirely unique to each person that follows it. Okay. And I'm going to say that again because I want to put an emphasis on this. Okay. Because I find that a lot of people have forgotten that the left hand path is a solitary path. Okay. These differences are expected as the left hand path is entirely unique to the person that follows it. Okay. And what's interesting is you get a list, like I said, January 7th, St. Weinbald Day. February 2nd to May 1st, August 1st, and October 31st, Satanic Revels. Candlemas, February 2nd. Saint Echetat Day, March 1st. Good Friday, the date varies. Okay. The Friday before Easter, Sunday. You have Ball's Harvest, April 19th to May 1st. Walpurgisnacht, April 30th to May 1st. Okay. Demons Revels, July 1st, September 15th, and December 24th. October 31st is Halloween. Okay, then how do you explain the 28th? Just saying. Okay. If you actually did your homework, you would know that the 28th was actually Halloween or All Hallows Eve. Okay. Um, then you go into the magical events, which deal with the lunar eclipse, the blood moon, and the different various moons. Okay. Now, what's interesting to note is that even if you follow the equinoxes and the solstices, you're still going to see the interconnectedness of every single system out there. Normally, if you follow the mundanes list of holidays that they're seeing, like what is it? This month alone, March, a post that I got in my Gmail from Gmail, okay, .com. Not just that, but Google itself. Apparently, uh, the this month is made specifically for women. It is International Women's Month. So here we have a whole nother holiday to celebrate and follow. Okay. So it seems like a lot of people are just making up holidays at this point. But what's interesting to note is that even by following the normalities of holidays throughout the year, like Valentine's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, there's always a pagan holiday within 1 or 2 days before it. Okay. So you're really seeing this. So by studying history and mythology, you're not just seeing the different tools and items being used during these holidays, but you're actually getting a much more broader sense of what the holidays were about. Now, you take, for an example, the mistletoe. The mistletoe was considered one of the original 9 herbs in Gaelic Druidic practice, now utilized for couples of wedlock or in some form of relationship that stands under it to use it as an excuse to make out, okay, and show affection towards one another, okay. Just like the game Spin the Bottle, so to speak, which is just another game, okay. A lot of things from traditions from way off in the past have now been made into a joke. So you really have to delve into the mythology, the different regions that they were seen and practiced in, much like the burial days of your ancestors. Okay. Think of certain African hereditary family lines and traditions such as Palo Mayombe, Santeria, Palo Mayombe, Quimbanda, Voodoo, okay, even Hoodooism, okay. All of these are ancestral lines. They come from an ancestral lineage passed down through hereditary family lines, much like Brujeria, okay. Now, which is just to name another, and all the secrets, all the the legends and the myths are passed down verbally, sometimes in a grimoire, okay, a family grimoire or a traditional grimoire, a black book that is held within that coven, okay, and normally it's held by the high priest or priestess, okay, of that house or that tribe, okay. And the thing is that even if you go into European style witchcraft and sorcery, you're going to see how a shaman or a necromancer, a traditional witch, a strega, would have their own black book, their own grimoire that has all their spells, all their knowledge, their holidays, and all the beings that they worship and call upon. Okay, and because I've been going down this new path within the Mazajira over the last year, which everybody knows, and I've even lost some friends who have turned around and started bad mouthing me behind my back, which one actually had the balls to do it right on one of my posts here on YouTube just the other day. Um, really doesn't bother me because I'm doing these posts are about reaching the individuals that actually want to learn, those that actually want to grow and evolve within the practices and their arts. So what's interesting to note is a lot of people don't follow these traditional holidays. Some will just simply stick to what they've been taught verbally through a coven setting without actually being able to go outside of that coven and research the topics more in depth from various different regions of the world. One of the things I've been studying a lot lately is that of necromancy, specifically that of death. Okay, so, the soul, the burial traditions, how they were seen from the days of Vikings to Scandinavian to Slavic to Germanic, not just Proto German, but low, medium, and high culture within Germanic. Okay, even into Welsh and Icelandic traditions. There are so many different belief structures when it comes to holidays and traditions of practice. You take, for an example, in Viking lore, okay, there are so many different methods of just burying someone, thoughts of the soul, where it's going, about the spirit, the next worlds. Not joking. Delve into it, and I guarantee it, you'll see for yourself. Not because I told you, but because you want to. Okay. So I mean, when you get into this stuff, you're going to be seeing a lot of resemblance within the different cultures, the different practices and belief structures. It doesn't matter if it's pagan, Wiccan, Satanist, demonologist, Luciferian, okay, necromantic, shamanic, druidic, okay. Even if you get into herbalism and become an alchemist, same exact thing. You're going to see some of these practices getting along with each other, but you're also going to be seeing, and this is something I do agree with someone else that I'm not going to mention here out of respect, because this was actually done on one of my posts in a group that I belong to, and I'm not going to mention the group either out of respect. But this individual said that a shamanism and necromancy are very may be seen very closely resembling, but they don't associate with each other. And the reason why is because of the different practices, the different belief structures within the practice itself. Okay. So I mean, we both aspects live with one foot in the grave or one foot in the spiritual realm and the other in the physical. Okay. But due to the resembling of, say, for an example, let's say rejuvenation of a corpse, okay, which resembles death. And we all know that there are the Day of the Dead or All Hallows Eve, the Devil's Night, is considered to be the weakest point, the weakest link in the chain, okay, where the veil is so thin that you can commune more easily with the spiritual realm. Okay, which is one of the reasons it's the Day of the Dead and Halloween was is was and is celebrated. Okay, for ancestral lineage. So you can see how that actually correlates. Now, in the old days, such as that of the Canaanites, or I should go back even further into the Chaldeans. Okay, the belief in necromancy was that it was the first and most deadliest and feared black art. Okay. We know that in the second century, it was actually prohibited. It was considered the first of the seven forbidden arts and practices. We also know by biblical lore and traditions of the Old Testament that King Saul, King Saul himself, sent out his foot let's just call them his lackeys, because let's face it, that's what they were back in the day, lackeys, to find the most prominent and powerful seer. Okay, now keep in mind that this was actually after the Ten Commandments were put forth. You see the point. Do not worship anything in the heavens above, in the earth below, idol worship, worshiping other gods, being associated with witchcraft, sorcery. You see what I'm saying here? Okay. And yet here is a servant of his God, okay, telling his people to go out and find this soothsayer, this witch. And we now know her in her myth as the Witch of Endor. Okay. And she was so powerful that she looked at him when he finally goes up to her and says, "Why are you trying to ensnare me?" Okay. So when we look at this and we see what she does through divining, okay, through divining through necromantic practices, divination, chiromancy, we see how it's tied into these holidays and why it's important to give an offering and to give a a gift when calling upon these beings. I even certain authors, okay, have stated, like say for an example, Myrmidon Pontifex Maximus, who wrote the Devil's Bible, okay, from the Cathedral of the Black Goat, said the four rules is when petitioning a demon. Never keep them waiting. Always have your petition handy. Always have the proper offering. And number three, number four, I forget what that one is offhand. I'd have to go back in and actually read it. But those are the three main things that caught my attention was making sure you have that proper offering. Don't make them wait. Apparently, it angers some of them. And it's true. Some dietas do become hostile. Some do get offended quite easily. While most will automatically come and aid you and to work with you and align with you. It's like making pacts and deals on certain days of the year. You look at Anton Zandalave, shaved his head, declared himself a Satanist on St. Walburg. Okay? One of the satanic holidays. He made a pact with the devil, or with a devil, most likely Lucifer Raphael. Okay? And swords allegiance to the four crowned princes of hell, with Satan being the top of that food chain. Okay. So right there it's showing you that holidays and rituals play a huge part. Second of all, blood offerings, blasphemy. The one thing I've noticed through Reverend Kane's work, what I've noticed through Reverend Cesar 999, for an example, the Vampiric Order, it's a more radical um, satanic order that basically blasphemies everybody else and reveres himself and his order as being the true satanic church, much like today's TST or COS. Okay, a lot of people, attack the JOS because of some of the icons that they utilize without knowing the full extent of those tools. Everything is connected within rituals, within ceremonies, within holidays, and throughout the world's history. You just have to be willing to put in long hours of intense studying, intense practice, and align yourselves with these energies, these currents. One of the things that popped up and continues to pop up is that when you make a pact with the underworld or with a being, you are in fact aligning yourself with that entire current. So if you're a demonologist, or, a demonologist, or you are a Satanist, and you make a deal with a devil or a demon, you are in fact aligning yourself with hell itself. And therefore, you are protected. You are immune to what is put out into the world. Okay. And at least that's the belief structure within it, I should say. So far, I can tell you that being immune to certain things is a crock. It's one of the many lies that is out there. Now, if that was the case, then you wouldn't get sick. You wouldn't come down with the flu, or you wouldn't come down with like strep throat or whatever, because certain demons are associated with plagues and war and famine and stuff like that. So you wouldn't be affected by it if that was the case and you were aligned with these forces. But a lot of people treat it as a joke, like I said, without actually getting into the actual history, the mythologies, and why things were practiced and celebrated. So, why don't you look up the holidays, look up the tools that were used and the methods of the celebrations themselves within ritual traditions, the splinter cell, divisions, and get away from the drama, get away from, the subdivisions and the encampments. Evolve for yourself, not for someone else. Learn for yourself, because that's how you're going to succeed and it's going to be more beneficial to you in the long run. All right. With that said, I'm getting off here. All right. I want to thank all of you, Ballborn, Tina, for jumping on here. And you two are the only ones that's on here at the moment. All right. But I hope this has been educational and I hope this has been enlightening. And I do hope that you go out and look at different pantheons, different styles of practice. And I do hope that you go out and actually get into various different traditions and actually learn about them, their methods, their holidays, and all that stuff, and why they were performed. All right. Have a good day, and I will see you next time. All right. Have a good one.